name is Tom. If you haven't been following my videos, I've been working on this boat for a couple of weeks. I picked it up a couple of weeks ago for $150. And then I put some work into it to turn it into a lake trout fishing boat. I needed a smaller boat because the boat landing here is really crappy. It's only, boy, it was hard to get the boat off a trailer even with this little boat. So I never would have wanted to unload the Amy Lynn here. I'm just cruising along right now. I'm headed up the lake to find 50 to 70 feet of water. I've never been on this lake before, but I have a good idea where the deep water is. The deepest hole is 110 feet, but I don't need to go that deep just yet. That'll be later on in the summer. I believe I'll find what I want right around 70 feet of water. What I am looking for is a lake trout that is more than 33 inches long. That's the legal keep for this lake, and I'm a meat eater, so that's the only thing I fish for, is keepers. There is a slot limit that you can take a smaller one, but I generally don't keep those. And last night, you saw maybe, I had white perch for supper. Boy, what a delicacy. I filleted those up, put them in a little pancake batter with some spices, deep fried them in 1/4 inch of oil, and oh, they were so good. Paul, I've been telling you about this lake for quite a while now. I'm finally out here, buddy. Well, I got about a mile boat ride, so I'll bring you back when I'm a little bit closer. She's buggy! Even out here on the lake, it's buggy. There's no breeze right now to speak of. Black flies and mosquitoes have been horrendous this year. And they normally don't bug me. I've been dealing with them for 50 years. Mind over matter. Well, it's starting to rain, getting a little misty. I'll bring you back when it lets up. Well, I brought you back. It's finally let up raining just a little bit. I've been out here since 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's creeping up on 7 o'clock now. I had one on. I got him up behind the boat, but couldn't quite get him where I could see him. I have no idea size or any of that, but oh well, that's what fishing is. But I'm going to fish for about another hour, and then I'm going to head over to the boat landing and head back to the cabin. And then we're coming back out tomorrow night. I fished tonight by myself. I've got a buddy meeting me up here tomorrow morning, and we're going to come up here and hit this lake again tomorrow afternoon. And again, fish until dark. This time of year, I think that's probably some of the best fishing. But today's been absolutely great, being overcast and raining every once in a while. That's just what I like. What I'm running now is I've got this pole directly on bottom with a decent chub. My outside rod, I've got that down 20 feet with a 10-ounce sinker. It has an eyelid on both sides, and then I've got a planer in front of it to keep it from spinning. And then I've got a Rapala lure on that, a blue one. So, and I'm getting ready to run over 50 feet of water, so that'll put me down 20 feet and about 30 feet off bottom. And I believe there's a cold spring over in this area because I have a temperature on my depth finder. So that's the area I've been trying to concentrate on. I haven't had any luck on a laker yet. So what I think I'm going to do is head over here and maybe I can pick up a brookie. Brookies are in here too. I'd like to have a fish for supper if it's possible. I had fresh fish last night for supper. So I kinda like that. So maybe I can pick one up over there and have fresh fish again tonight. But don't worry about me. If I don't catch a fresh fish, I've got deer steaks back there just waiting to hop into the frying pan. Sizzling hot frying pan to boot. Right now I've been just eating cookies and coffee, keeping me going. I really should dig into my dry bag and pull out something warm to wear. It is absolutely freezing out here. I don't have the common sense to come in out of the rain, I guess. But I left the camera on that whole time, down in my dry bag. Lost a whole battery. Well, up here, losing a whole battery when you're trying to videotape this stuff is not good. But maybe tomorrow I'll fire up a generator. Charge a couple of batteries that way. I can charge them with the camera, but I don't really like to. I have a double charger. I can stick 2 batteries in and charge them both at the same time. That's what I like to do. But I don't have that with me this trip. I forgot to throw it in. But the new boat is working out great. It is so comfortable to ride in. I don't know how much you can see. Probably can't see that outside rod I got out there. This rod here, everything is set up smaller than the Amy Lynn, but just like the Amy Lynn to a degree. That way you don't have to teach a new dog new tricks that way. I have 3 boats that I work out of now. And they're all set up more or less the same way. But tomorrow night, we'll be dragging 4 rods behind this boat. Maybe that'll help. So, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I'll bring you back if I catch anything between now and dark. I'll keep the camera set up here for a few minutes, as long as it's not raining. That way, if I get one on, I'll reach up and turn it on. And I'll see if I can't show you the fish on the way in. This really is a pretty nice lake. It's not big, but it's got a smooth bottom to it. I see a lot of rocks and stuff like that on the shoreline, but I also see a lot of nice beaches. Over there is a beautiful sand beach. Over in back of me, I saw another one. I think I see a picnic table over there. I'll have to check that out. I love a place to have a shore lunch. I think I'll check it out right now. I always have stuff in the boat to stop for lunch. It's just a really fun thing to do when you're out fishing. Plan supper, stuff like that. It's nothing complicated, but it's a nice thing to do if you're out in the boat, is to stop, especially if you got company with you. Stop, go to shore, It only takes a half hour, 45 minutes. You can do it quicker than that, but it's all about having a good time while you're here. So it looks like there's a picnic area over there. That would be sweet. That's close to the fishing grounds. I've been fishing in 100 feet of water. Anything from 50 to 100. And, you know, lake fishing, it's slow. You don't catch one every 5 minutes. But when you do get one, he's usually a nice one. Well, Paul, this isn't the maiden voyage, but this is the maiden voyage for fishing. I took her up in that bog yesterday. Not a bad boat for $160. Doesn't leak at all. The front end underneath the bow I've got full of gear. I've got a full kitchen, I've got a top, I've got an axe. I've got enough groceries to carry me a couple days if I had to. I'm a long ways from the highway. So if something happened, there's, and same thing between here and the truck. I could camp anywhere. I think that if you fish the backwaters and stuff like that, where you're away from people, that's a pretty good way to set your boat up. Is to have it so you could. We used to camp out of the boats anyways, years ago. In 30 years we camped out of the boats on different lakes. Drop the truck off and then just head in and fish for 10 days and then come out. So to me it's just old hat. It's just something that we do. You know, having a boat full of gear, enough to spend the night is just, to me it's just common sense. But I see a lot of people with boats up here that a lot of times the boat's too small for the water they're in, and the other thing is it has no gear in it. I've seen people out there with broke down motors that we've had to tow all the way back, that all they had was a fish pole with them and a tackle box and a thermos of coffee. Yeah, to me that's kind of crazy. But that's just my thoughts on the subject. I might be rambling, but I'm trying to keep the camera going. In case I get a bite, I'd like you to be a part of it. But I went up in that stream yesterday. I'm not much of a bass fisherman, but I caught so many bass up there yesterday that I think I'm a bass fisherman now. I couldn't go 20 feet without having both rods light up with bass on them. Anything from a pound to 3 pounds. I'm not knocking bass fishermen, so don't be sending me any hate mail. I'm just not a bass fisherman. I fish for lake trout, salmon, brook trout, and chubs. Gotta have bait. I'm gonna spin you around. Looks like there's 2 picnic tables up there. So that is a campsite. Very, very nice. Did not know that was here. I might have to do some camping. Very nice. Heck of a place to go swimming. I'm going to spin you around. Man can make himself right to home over there. Looks like a nice place to have a shore lunch. All kinds of beach sand. Well, I'm going to put you away. Well, good morning. Well, this is the last day of my fishing trip. Be heading home tomorrow morning. Got some camp chores to do today. I just finished mowing the lawn, got that taken care of. When you own a camp, you do have some camp chores to do along with your fishing. But yesterday's fishing trip didn't go as planned. I got over to the lake, I put the motor in, put the boat in the water, and I went about a mile offshore from the boat landing and started to put in my lines. That's where I usually start fishing there. Well, usually it's a brand new lake. I say usually because I fished it about 3 days this week. But anyways, about a mile out, got ready to put my lines in, control the motor down, and it stalled. And it didn't start again. So I ended up having to paddle back to the shore. That is the first time in 50 years that I've had to paddle a boat back to shore because of a motor. I did everything to the motor that I could think of. I checked the fuel. I carry a lot of extra parts with me, things that I have had problems with in the past. But what happened to the motor was this particular motor has a primer button on it. And the primer button quit working. So that was one of them parts that I couldn't recover from. I tried holding my hand over the carburetor like a choke. That wouldn't get it to run. I checked the fuel filters. I had plenty of gas there. So I've narrowed it down to the plunger that's inside of that primer. And I poured gas in my spark plugs and I still couldn't get it to fire up. Other than, you know, just a quick fire there. But I was hoping maybe if I could get it going, I might be able to run it on full throttle, or once it was going, it wouldn't need the primer button. But anything I tried wouldn't work. So when I get home, I will be changing out the primer button. But anyways, so I got back to shore. But while I was out there, I had to roll back and I got close to shore. A couple places it was easier to walk beside the boat than it was to paddle it with one paddle. So today's project for this boat is just getting a set of oar locks. Down in the shop I have a set of oar brackets. I'm going to mount them on that boat and I'm putting in another oar. That way, if I ever do have to again, at least I can row instead of paddle. Paddling one of these boats is a pretty slow process. But while I was out there coming back, I found 5 big flat rocks for my fireplace. And I like collecting rocks from all over the state for my fireplace. So I had to take a break anyways. So I put 5 big flat rocks in the boat. And this morning I'm going to set them on the fireplace. They're flat ones, big ones, for the top of the fireplace. So I got places to set my Dutch ovens and stuff like that. So I didn't come back empty-handed. I just didn't come back with a fish. And then the other night we fished until 9 o'clock. I had a buddy with me. And on the way out, guess what we saw crossing the road? It was another porcupine. But it was 9 o'clock at night. We kind of let that one go by. We just had porcupine for supper earlier this week. We had a big stew of porcupine. So he was on our mind, but we let this one wander by. But just thought you'd like to know that even if I didn't catch a fish out there, I could have got me another porcupine. And I've done that on other fishing trips. You've seen that in other videos that I've done. So, but I'll show you these rocks and then, oh yeah, getting to the fish. I wasn't able to connect this trip with any big lakers. I got a ton of bass, and I got quite a few white perch. I love catching white perch. They're wicked good to eat. I had a nice mess of them here for supper a couple of nights ago. But I was not able, in this new lake, I wasn't able to narrow it down yet to try to get some lakers out of there. But there's always next time, and there's always next fishing trip. So in keeping it real, sometimes when you go lake fishing, you don't get any. Lake fishing is a lot like deer hunting. You know, to get a nice one, you don't get a nice one every trip out. Just like when you're hunting for that big old buck. You don't get a big buck every time you're in the woods. Lake fishing's a lot the same way. You can get smaller ones a lot. But when you start fishing with big baits, some of my baits I've been fishing with this week was 1 foot long to 15 inches long. So that's pretty big bait, and it eliminates a lot of your big fish. I mean, a lot of your smaller ones from biting. But when you're looking for a big one, that's what you got to fish with. So that kind of narrows it up here, and I'll show you this rock pile. There's my big pile of rocks. You can see one of them there, quite flat, quite big. It'll make a nice, that one right there is a nice rock to set Dutch ovens on. So I will wheel them over to the fire pit and get those set into place. Here's the fireplace. I got the new rocks that I lugged home yesterday from the lake. I'm going to take you around the back side. As you can see, she's growing. I got the rocks on the front now. The lake, I've got rocks on this one now, come from 3 different lakes, as well as different bird trips that I've been on, bird hunting trips. So I'll bring it back around the back side. Got that big one right there off the lake. And around the back side here, you can see these flat rocks that are on the top. I got 5 of them lugged home yesterday. Those flat rocks will be good for putting my spatula on, my Dutch ovens, anything I want to set around the cooking fire. Like I said in my previous videos, this is a cooking fireplace, so that's what I'm setting it up for. I plan on making it quite a bit taller here in the back. As time goes on, I'll just keep adding to my pile. It's just a fun thing to do while I'm out hunting and fishing, as I gather these foolish rocks and lug them back home. So, just in case you're following along on this fireplace, I decided to videotape it this morning and just show you what we've been doing. And then I will see you on the next one. And thank you for following along on my boat series, as well as this little fishing trip. It means a lot to me, and I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to grow the channel like we all are, and just the more we have, the more fun it is to be able to do this stuff. So thank you, and I will see you on the next one.